So, welcome back, guys, to In 10 Years Time podcast. Second season now, and we're kicking it off with now recently just signed Cage Warriors fighter, MMA fighter, Clancy Jr. Congratulations on the news, because it literally just happened as well. Like the literal news on Instagram, I just saw it that you just signed a multi-fight contract with Cage Warriors. So, congrats on that. Just initial thoughts on that first of all.
Initial thoughts on that. I don't know if the multi-fight deal was released. I think the multi-fight deal might have just been released today, actually.
That's what I meant. Yeah, today.
I think you might be right. I just realised that right there. But no, it's cool. It's an honour to be associated with the legends that have came through Cage Warriors and stuff like that already. So yeah, it's cool. I'm excited, but to be honest, if I'm being perfectly honest, it just feels like any other fight.
I'll head into like your fighting stuff later in the podcast. So first of all, just want to say, was it because I saw somewhere that was it Paisley or is it Barhead that you grew up? Because I saw two different
both. I went through both. I was born in Paisley, was raised most of my life in Barhead, went to school in Barhead and all that, and now I'm living in Paisley again. So, but I go through both. It's basically like the same anyway, to be honest. They're just right next to each other.
And obviously, like those around like the Glasgow area, just coming from someone that obviously not from that part of the world. Like, what was like growing up in like the Glasgow area for you? Did you enjoy it?
Specifically, just like what's different about Glasgow, or just
yeah.
Well, it's very like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, drink on weekends, like that kind of like mold kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So everybody's constantly wanting you to do what's been proven already that works. I never wanted to do that. I was always quite outspoken. Like literally, honestly, since I had like some of my first earliest memories are of training and saying that I wanted to be the best fighter. Not many people can say that, honestly. If they're being perfectly honest with themselves, they can't say that. A lot of people say that, but it's not the same. I've literally lived this my whole life. So, a lot of people are becoming a lot more understanding now as I'm getting older, but it's typical. Like a lot of places, I feel like most places are quite like that, like very like, no, this is what you need to do and stuff. Nobody was unsupportive, I wouldn't say. I had a lot of support from my family and stuff like that, but like, it's very, they're not very open-minded, I would say.
Yeah, it's a bit like where I'm from as well, because I'm in like mid Wales, and it's very like closed-minded stuff.
That's exactly what you'd kind of think, like kind of just cold, harsh, Neds everywhere, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, because when you like think of, when I think of Glasgow, I think of the film is it Trainspotting?
Aye.
Yeah. So.
Aye.
But I haven't been. I really want to go there though, because apparently it's a great city.
It's lovely. It is nice.
So you said like earliest memories of yourself was training and fighting. So like, how was school for you then coming through? Because obviously, if you've just been a fighter your whole life, I was just interested in knowing like how did you enjoy school? Like how was it for you?
I had quite a weird not upbringing, but like childhood and stuff. I never had too many friends and stuff like that. I was always quite weird. Kind of like an outcast, if you know what I mean. I had like a couple of friends and stuff. Like I had like one like really good friend throughout like primary school, and then like that was about it really. But I've always kind of stuck to myself, like kind of doing my own thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I never really found much in common with people at all. Even now, I still kind of feel like that to a degree. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think you need a little bit of that kind of like secludedness. Do you know what I mean? Like to be different, like to do what I want to do, to be the best fighter ever. You can't do that by being the same as everyone else. I'm aware of that. So I know everything that's happened and everything that's like everything that like my whole upbringing, everything, it all adds up to me becoming the best fighter ever. Do you know what I mean? So I'm never like, my upbringing was good. I had a very good upbringing. I had a very, very loving family. But as far as like school and friends and stuff like that, I never had. I wasn't too good in that regard. But
Yeah.
I was always training. I was always training. That like I never ever ever didn't train. That's even if like my dad would always take me to like training and stuff like that, whether it be at his gym or the grip house back in the day or like anything. I started going to a higher level when I was like 14 and stuff. That's when I started taking things seriously. I could actually get lifts up and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? That was the first ever like consistent regiment that I'd ever had, and I honestly just fell in love. Like it's exactly what I needed. Just I've always had so much energy. I was always like always needed structure in that way. Do you know what I mean? I was very by the book kid, and it it literally just I fell into place so fast.
You mentioned your dad because I think I'm right in thinking that your dad was also a fighter as well. Did he do MMA? Because didn't he do was he like a kickboxer or Muay Thai or
No. He did MMA. He was a
he
wrestler. He wrestled like when he was younger, so he's more of a wrestler than anything.
right.
Had a couple of wrestling tournaments when he was younger. He had an MMA fight very, very early on, which ended up it was like one of those weird, pure old school MMA fights where like they weren't the same way as each other and stuff like
Right, yeah.
that. I don't know what the rule set was, but that was a very long time ago. And then we ended up just having like a million kids, so going away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting back having another fight when in 2015 or something like that, and then just wrecked the guy. So I've all it's in the blood, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, because I was going to say, because like you've said you've always enjoyed, and like obviously your dad was a massive influence. So was
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
like when you were like little, was it like you knew nothing else apart from fighting? But yeah, you
I was
said
there.
but you still enjoy it though, because some people might think, oh, it's a bit of a burden because my dad or whatever is always pushing me to do this, but you like, no, I
That,
loved it.
that's the thing with James. James always says I'm like autistic because a lot of people in my predicament they end up falling away from it. Like that's just all they do all day
Yeah.
every day, and it's like they go. I don't know. You see a lot of kids getting coerced into it, and you see even in like football and stuff like that. Scotland's obviously a very like football based kind of country, and even like in football, like you see a lot of like dads and stuff like that try to live through their kids and stuff. Whereas it wasn't really the same in my case. I just had I had fighting and I just stuck to it. It's all I've ever thought about. Do you know what I mean? It could have been the case with anything. If I'd got any football, it may have been like that with football. It may have been like that with anything. But
Mm.
fighting's all I've been able to think about ever. Um, yeah, I just sorry. I I feel like that's answered the question.
And yeah, no, that's great. And so, was there any other option apart from fighting or MMA? Was there any moment in your head that you thought, oh, have you ever had that moment, or have you just not thought about it?
No, not in that way. I remember when I was really really young, I had a phase where I wanted to be a vet, but
Oh,
that
right.
was that was about it. Yeah. Um, I I've just I don't know. A lot of people do fall away from it. I just don't. I don't seem to have it. I've always stayed relatively consistent. Don't get me wrong. I'm the same as everyone. Like I'm not like oh I just love training all the time. I just love doing this all the time. It's very love hate and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's hard work. It's very hard work. If it was easy, like everyone would do it.
Mm,
But I don't know. I'm definitely different. Like there's nobody like me at all. I know that.
mm.
Or if there is, I'll fucking never met anybody like me. Do you know what I mean? I I I don't know what it is. I've always wondered what that might have been, but no, I've never had the urge to fall away. It's just me. Do you
Mm,
know what I mean? It really is just me. Like I'm fighting. It's just whenever anybody hears my name, they're just like, "Oh, aye, that fighter." Do you know what I mean?
mm,
It's all I can think about. It's all I can talk about. It's all I do. I train. Like I've never like fell away. I would never want for going out partying or nothing like that. It's
mm,
just always been that way for me. Do you know what I mean? It's just all I've lived. It's
mm,
probably going to continue to be like that, like and
mm,
to the day I die. I couldn't imagine me doing anything else or properly like drifting away from fighting or anything like that. I just don't think I could. I just don't. I think it's just that ingrained in me.
And obviously, a lot of people think that, like you said, you want to be the best ever, and a lot of people have dubbed you as like the future of Scottish MMA or British MMA, whatever. So I just wondered what it feels like to be labelled like those kind of things as like a young athlete as well, because that's something I always ask.
It is really cool. It is really cool, especially the people saying it and stuff like that, like legends of the sport. It is really cool. But I'm not I'm not the same as these guys that have already came out of like Scotland and Britain and stuff like that. Like I'm something else completely different.
Mm.
You will see what I'm talking about soon. I've trained with like people a lot bigger than me, like from such a young age. I've trained with people that are at like such a high level from such a young age, and I've always been able to like hold my own and win rounds and stuff like that from literally from like 15, 16. Do you know what I mean? I'm only 20 and I'm like doing well and like
Mm.
I'm doing more than well against a lot of like some of the best fighters in the gym and stuff like that. And they're like, don't get me wrong, it's like back and forth, but they're they're some of the best fighters in the gym. Like we've got everybody. Do you know what I mean? We've got people in the UFC, we've got people in Bellator, we've got people in PFL,
Mm.
and I'm by no means out of my depth, and I never have been from the age of 15, 16. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I think it was one of your fights last year, the year before, against Jamie Hayes, and
Mhm.
you won that fight eventually. But I also saw somewhere that you said you had some family stuff on your mind going into it or whatever. So if you don't mind saying, I'm interested in knowing like what you meant by like what was the family stuff you had going into that, and how much more did it mean to you when you won?
Um, so it's like a pure, not like a running joke or nothing like that, but it's like quite well known in my gym and stuff like that. That like, I've had like what like 10, 11 fights and stuff like that, and it just seems to be like before every single one of them, I've got like something big going on. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But then before that fight, like two like really close family members had died like back to back.
Mm.
Uh, aye, that's what was going on then. There was a couple other things in the background that I don't talk about, but
Mm.
that those were the two main things I'd say.
And obviously, to be like a champion or whatever, you also got to have a great mentality. And
Yeah.
also, when shit hits the fan, how do you respond to adversity and stuff? So, I'm just wondering, like, how do you, in the cage, outside the cage, like, how do you respond to adversity as a like young athlete, and how do you get over it, basically?
I don't think there's any like real secret to it or nothing like that. I've always had heart. That's been ingrained in me from a young age. I was born with it, and I'd I'd trained so hard for so long. It's just I'm never going to quit in that way. Like your
Mm.
brain is. I've been in tough situations and fights and stuff like that. Like your brain's wanting to stop, your body's wanting to give up, but there's just like there's just something there that won't let you, and just there's something that I call it my spirit. Um, just keeps me going. Because you don't know why you keep going. You thought you'd gave up ages ago, but you like there's not one moment in time where you actually have.
Mm.
Um, you're never like it's never a conscious decision. Do you know what I mean? I'm never like, oh, it never ever crosses my mind. Oh, I could lay over right now. I could just roll over and lose. Like
Mm.
I'm too competitive for that. I've done this. I've trained so hard. Like it means too much to me for like some wee guy
Mm.
that's not made for this just to
Mm.
come and try and take it off me. Do you know what I mean? It's just not it's just not me. I couldn't.
And obviously, you mentioned before, like the people that are in your gym, obviously at high level MMA, Paul Craig and Stevie Ray. Um, I just wanted to know how you got involved with high level MMA and how you came across Jamie, your coach, Jamie Doolan.
James. My dad actually. So I used to train. Well, I was always like the grip house beforehand. And my dad ended up having a fight in 2015, I think it was, or I can't remember. But somebody says like, if you want to fight, I'd recommend going to higher level. And so he did, and he immediately just fell in love with it. And he was like, "Sean, you need to go here." And I was like, perfect. Okay, I went over and I seen how it felt different. Everybody, James was different, and it's exactly what I was needing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. And what have you learned the most from him and training with people like Paul Craig and such? Like since you've been there, like what have you learned? What's the best thing you've learned?
The best thing I've learned. Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
question. The best thing I've learned from James is consistency. Just like you need to constantly be able to come in, like even when you're tired, even when you're like not that like even when you can't be bothered, just show up, and you need to constantly kind of have that. You don't need to have that fire, but you need to act like you do. Do you know what I mean? You need to come in. You need to be passionate, and you need to be consistent and obsessed. Got that from James. A lot of the fighters, like as far as the fighters go, they're all taken like many things like from each fighter, like Danny Henry, Stevie Ray, Paul Craig, Mark Ewan, all these people I've got like taken even smaller fighters, even fighters like my wee brother and stuff like that, like my younger brother. I take things off of him. I take things off every fighter that I see. Everybody's like a family. It's just nobody'll see anybody going without. Do you know what I mean?
Something that I think of you anyway is that you're quite a well-rounded fighter. Obviously, a lot of MMA guys, they'll specialize in, well, not most nowadays anyway, but a lot of they'll be obviously more stronger in the grappling or striking than another. So I was just thinking, obviously, people need to improve on their craft all the time. Do you think at the moment, heading into your Cage Warriors debut, do you think there's anything you need to improve on in the long run in your MMA career in particular, or do you think at the moment it's just like ironing out the edges?
There are, of course, like I can improve on everything. I wouldn't say there's anything specifically that sticks out compared to the others, and if there was, I wouldn't be saying it online anyway for people to.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't really say so. As he says, I'm well rounded. I'm by no means perfect yet. I can always improve on plenty of things like kicking, punching, grappling, submissions. There's always going to be somebody that's better than me at something. Do you know what I mean? It's my job to just be the best at blending all together, which I try and do. I feel like as far as my grappling goes and stuff like that, everybody thinks I'm just a grappler. Not true. I've struck just as much as I've grappled in my whole lifetime. Maybe I'm more talented at that. I don't know. I don't know. I actually prefer striking. I would just say people, it's so much easier. It's just such an easier way to win. Like people just seem to be so deficient off their back. I get on top of them. I'm winning. I'm landing the damage. They're working harder than me. Now, after that, they're spending the whole fight trying to play catch up. It's just, it just seems like common sense. If I can get you down, that's me winning. But it's never something I'm actually like spazzing to or like rushing to try and get to the mat. My last fight actually, it looks like I did my last fight, but what actually happened is I just fell over. The cage got in my way and I just tripped up.
Yeah.
But I don't care what they think I'm going to do, because regardless of what they think I'm going to do, even if they're thinking what I'm going to do is right, I'm going to be able to do it anyway. I'll be able to do whatever I want to these guys in there. But yeah, it's always about getting the smartest, safest way to victory.
And obviously, I think,
and I need to finish people as well. I can't not finish people. But that happens anyway.
And obviously you're 2-0 in the pros at the moment in MMA, and also you've got a very good record in the amateurs as well. I think it was your penultimate fight before you went into the pros. I think you lost to a guy called Rowan Crocker, I think his name was, in the Four Nations championships, I think it was. And so I was just thinking, obviously, since then you've killed it, and you're, beating the shit out of guys. So I was just wondering, like, how did you come over that as like a young athlete? And yeah.
Um, I took it quite well. It was a weird one. I didn't perform nearly as well as I usually do.
Mm.
I went in with like just such a weird mental about me. Do you know what I mean? Definitely learned a lot from it. Nothing like that's ever going to happen again. The guy actually never hit me either. If I had that in there, and I tried to get the fight. I'm of the mindset if I fought that guy 45 minutes later, I would have beat him. Do you know what I mean? He's not a better fighter than me by any means necessary. He's a nice guy. I actually quite liked him. But as far as honestly, I tried to get a fight back a fair couple of times, fair couple of times, but he'd been out for ages with injury, and it just so happened to start looking for another MMA fight 2 weeks after I'd turned pro. It was just bad timing.
Well, I mean, he's quite a good fighter as well. So you never know, you might face him again in the future.
Aye, if he wants what I want, we'll fight again.
Yeah, that's for sure. Obviously, your first 2 fights in the pros, they've been inside the first round. I was just interested in this, like, especially the first pro fight you had. I mean, that was pretty comfortable stuff for you. Did it annoy you? Like, did it annoy you a little bit, like in those first 2 fights, like how like easy you found it against those guys? Because obviously you're preparing so much, or did you just like, yeah, I feel great?
No. If I can finish all my guys in the first like 2 seconds, I'll do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and like take a back and forth fight. If a fight is back and forth between me and somebody, I'm raging. I'm absolutely raging. I'm not happy with the performance at all. I expect a lot from myself. I set a very, very, very high standard for myself. No, I wouldn't be. It'd be hard for me to be happy with anything other than flawless.
And are you? I'm guessing you're expecting a similar thing on Saturday then in doubling against this guy. Obviously this fight's at 170 at welterweight. But you've also fought at middleweight before at 185. So a couple of questions. First things first, are you definitely going to stay then at 170 for? Yeah. And how's like the weight cutting been and everything like that this camp?
Brand new. Paul Craig's actually, obviously he works with boxing science and stuff like that, so I've been getting a lot of tips and stuff like that off of them. I'm actually going to work to get a nutritionist in my next fight, but this, again, structure wise, this is the most structured I've been with my diet. I've had my phone's been dark. This is the most structured I've been with my diet, and it's the best I've felt. Otherwise, I'm not having to rush anything. Like, it was never like a thing where like I'd pure cheat my diet or nothing like that. I didn't know. I didn't have the knowledge. So I would do what I knew, but I was bad. Whereas I feel a lot better. I'm actually having more food. I'm losing weight faster. Everything's just running so smoothly. This will probably be the biggest I've been for my fight as well, which is, if you add all that together, it's just a very, very, very funny combination.
And what made you want to go down to 170 rather than stay at 185? Was it just the size? I'm guessing it's just like the size thing.
Because I don't walk about enough, like big enough for 185. Look at monsters like Paul Craig, like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
same size as Paul. He walks about like 99 kilo, 100 kilo. I do not. So definitely strong enough to stay there. But like, if I can make the 170 as comfortably as I am, then why not? I'm not saying I won't go back up to 185. I'm definitely not saying that. But why not if I can make the weight? It doesn't make sense.
And obviously with Cage Warriors being on UFC Fight Pass as well. Obviously UFC's what every aspiring like MMA fighter tries to get on, or most anyway. So I want to know, like, how long? Obviously, you're very focused on your upcoming fight and stuff in Cage Warriors, but how close do you think you are to getting to the UFC? Like, how many fights, how many wins do you think you need to get before getting there?
I don't know. It just kind of really depends on obviously life and stuff like that. It depends on a lot of things. I know it won't take me too many fights to get there, just with the kind of thing that I bring. So it all depends on how fast I get the fights. Do you know what I mean? It's not because people could pull out, people could do this, people could do that. In an ideal world, I'm there like 2 years or something like that. But you know how it is with fighting and stuff like that. Things are so inconsistent.
And final question, I always ask this to a lot of my podcast guests. Obviously, this podcast is called In 10 Years Time. So, and I always end at the same question. So, you 21 or 20 at the moment? 20. So, in 10 years time, you're 30. It's October. What would it be? 2033. Where would you like to be in 10 years time?
Considered the greatest of all time by then. I threw a couple of years into it, I'd say.
Right.
With another 2 years in the pipeline. Aye, that's where I'd want to be. That's where I will be.
Great.
Yeah, in a comfortable position.
Sean, you've been amazing. Thanks so much, mate. That was a good chat. Really, really enjoyed it. And good luck. And good luck for Saturday as well.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Hi, I'd just like to thank a couple of people as well. Just some people I'm really fortunate to have on my side. First and foremost, I need to thank Higher Level and James Dillon, of course. Second, I'd like to thank Enhanced Sports Performance. It's been 2 training camps back to back that I've been working with them, and I've noticed some big improvements already. So, thank you very much. And next, I'd like to thank a list of my sponsors, because if it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now and completely just 100% follow my dream. So, first, I'd like to thank Jam Jar Paisley. I'd like to thank Azure Pool Services. I'd like to thank Abacus Valves, Riley Reinforcements. I'd like to thank Andy's Golden Fry Paisley, and I'd like to thank ProLife as well. So, thank you, everyone. That's all I was wanting to say. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for all of you. Do you know what I mean? So, thank you.